Hey ladies and gentlemen, what's up? Today I got a different video and I found it while just scrolling in the morning, beautiful chill Sunday, and it was titled like why are men walking away from marriage? I thought it was the usual TikTok video, but the information I found later, it's kind of shocking.
Why do men have this irrational fear that women are going to use them?
There is nothing fucking irrational about that fear. There are men out there who have literally been bankrupted due to child support and are homeless because they can't pay it. There are men out there who have been screwed over multiple times by abusive and emotionally manipulative women, and due to the fact that both the divorce rate and, of course, child custody laws favor women over men almost 90% of the time, this ends up leading to men having to lose a shit ton of cash, money, and emotional support. Men will literally lose almost fucking everything simply due to the fact that women have in the past and throughout history screwed us over simply because of our money. Because people for some strange reason think that it's okay to literally put a man out on the street and take half of his shit when that man already doesn't have anything. That's not an irrational fear. That's just a fact of fucking life.
Why do men have
I kinda agree. It can be a very unique situation for men sometimes. The amount of child support that the men are supposed to pay so the lady feels comfortable or still used to the way of life they had in the past. I can understand it. I'm always trying to be in the middle ground. Both are supposed to live equally, right? That's what I thought. So whatever the woman has, she must have a specific life that she had just like she was married. Even though that kind of changes now, because even if you're not married, you're still in trouble. But if you're married, it's even worse. But we're not trying to discuss that. What I'm just trying to say, okay, if we just separate, we're not together, why is it always that men end up so bad that even if they don't have a job or they have a job, they live as if they have no rights, like literally no rights. And they mentioned somebody. He was a pediatrician for like 15 years or something like that, and the dude lost everything. So I was like, okay, he's a good example to do some research. I found him, Dr. Carlos Rivera. So it's like they only care about the life that she is trying to maintain in the future, but they don't care about the struggle the man has to go through to maintain his life. No, it's all about keeping hers. So if you're living in the gutter and she is living in the life that she is supposed to maintain, then I'm like, wait a second. Especially in US that if you don't pay your child support, they actually send you to prison.
The practice of medicine is no longer feasible for me, and I must now seek employment in a different career. For 8 years, I have battled to find solutions to the relentless onslaught of punitive financial demands and unethical rulings. I've suffered in family court for exercising my First Amendment rights to free speech and the right to protest peacefully. I am now homeless and bankrupt. I have no savings. I have no assets, no health insurance. I require a hip replacement. I have no life insurance, no car of my own, nor cell phone of my own. Even the same hospital and department I trained in and held privileges in has been ominously slow to return my calls for reinstatement. Staff which once greeted me there enthusiastically and with smiles now has a palpable dislike and prejudice against me. For my inability to sustain an astronomical $15,000 a month in alimony and child support, which was demanded by my ex-wife.
15,000 a month. Are you freaking kidding me? And the thing is, he can. But the problem is they're sucking so much money out of him right now that he can't even live a decent way. And he can't practice his job. So how is he supposed to keep it? So it's like they put him in a position that he will always suffer till the end of times or go to prison.
I was stripped of my civil rights and sentenced to jail illegally, as there was never a valid court order to do so. Judge Barbara Lenore and Judge Martha Luft never had jurisdiction to incarcerate me. This fact is being covered up by the family court system in Riverhead. They will remain unaccountable as I do not have the funds to pursue justice in federal court. And even if I did, it would be extremely unlikely that I would have a successful case.
You cannot win a case that costs so much money when even the judges are against you. I'm not saying all the judges, but I got an extra clip where you can see how a judge responded to an appointed lawyer for him because he wasn't even allowed to choose his own. It's kind of weird.
Their actions resulted in a $6,000 per month child support obligation, which is greater than 30% over my calculated obligation at my former salary.
Former salary, a salary that he doesn't have anymore.
This obligation was raised to $9,500 per month while I was incarcerated with 9% interest. Naturally, I had no income while incarcerated, so I cannot meet this demand.
How can you be charged for something for not paying when you're in prison? Does that make any sense?
As well as other debt, including malpractice premiums. After serving 6 months in jail, I was faced with over $250,000 in child support arrears. The public should be made aware of the profitable enterprise of child support enforcement agencies and family courts. Child support enforcement agencies oversee the national transfer of over $40 billion per year while charging up to and over 12% interest.
Did you hear that? They get interest. Interest. So that freaking super gangster billion that they were talking about, 12% interest. So you're not only paying your wife, you're paying the company that is helping your wife. Does that make any sense? For that amount of money, no wonder they charge people so much money. That doesn't make any sense.
My obligation was raised to $13,500 per month in child support for 4 children. This does not include any other debt such as alimony, medical school bills, personal debt for the practice I've lost as a result of false imprisonment.
And that's even worse because he has to pay a certain amount every month, but nobody is checking on his debt and the things. For example, in Spain, all the things that you do wrong or the problems that you have that you can justify, they take that into account. But in US, these people are freaking special. The guy doesn't have nothing anymore. I was in shock when I heard this.
I was further penalized when the Child Support Enforcement Agency revoked my driver's license.
Why? Why? He's supposed to work. He's supposed to make money. You're hitting a guy so low and girls are surprised that, for example, in Spain, if you live too long with a woman and the woman live into your house, if you pass away for whatever reasons and she was living in that house, the court is like, well, you're kinda married, so that house officially belongs to her. So if you want to sell the house of your father, which the kids wanted to do, they said, well, you have to give her half the money.
I now have less rights than a terrorist who threatens this nation.
Yep.
Child Support Enforcement Agency still holds the power to revoke my medical license, which I am certain may happen after this post. I cannot return to practice medicine until reestablishing malpractice insurance after incarceration.
Now, this is the kind of the part that I found kind of weird. It is a malpractice. If you do something gangster weird, you're going to get sanctioned. They're going to go after you. You have to pay more for your next practice. So the guy is already in a special situation. The problem that I had now with this video, because I don't want to blame the wife for everything. I don't want to be that person. But surprisingly, when they go to court later, the way they have to provide the information of what is happening, which is not clear right now, the judge was very biased. And that's where I had a big problem. When it's like, you know what, girl power, girls cover together. That's when they're like, hey man, you finally have the power and now you have to prove a point.
The judge for sufficient time to prepare my responding papers, and Carlos is being denied an attorney of his choosing. They may or may not appoint an attorney. I would like to have time to put in these papers and put in good papers. I don't want to be rushed. I want to do them properly. You know, June is coming. I do have a child. My child is going to be out of school. I do have a vacation plan. The day she picked, I actually have to be in Nassau County Supreme Court Well, June 27th, I have court in Nassau at 9:30 in the morning. I cannot be here.
Attorneys ask for adjournments all the time, especially in the summer. They get it. Is this uncommon?
This wasn't even really an adjournment. This was a time for me to put in a motion, so I guess it wasn't an adjournment. But certainly there's no problem. Lawyers walk around Suffolk County showing up 6 hours late for court, showing up 3 hours late for court. I sit here since 9:30 waiting for them. The one time I said, Judge, I need time to put in to do a proper, like she said, the man is facing 6 months in jail. It really is a criminal sanction, and she's telling his attorney, you don't have time to do a proper representation of him. She was basically telling me that. She was telling me I could not represent him, and Mr. Rivera could not use an attorney of his own choosing when he's facing 6 months in jail.
Now, the feeling that I got was that the judge was not being fair from day one. And what I mean by that is Mrs. Cartwright, his ex-wife, brought this petition. Shouldn't this burden have been on her? She was asking you, show me this, in a nasty way. But shouldn't the burden have been on the person who was bringing the case to the court?
I was actually very surprised, first of all, when the judge said she did not have the rest of the documents with her moving papers. I asked Ms. Cartwright if she had included them because she's required to file the motion with all the exhibits with the court. I also mentioned to the judge that it was not on her moving papers, that there had been a prior application for this exact same relief, and the judge blew off that argument. So there were at least 2 defects in her moving papers, which didn't seem to matter. And then she's telling me, get everything together. And I hand her what was attached to my moving papers, which wasn't even a whole judgment. Then she says, well, we're going to do this for second call. She just didn't give me a moment to get them out of my briefcase. I'm standing there. It's not like I'm sitting at a table where I could spread everything out. I'm reaching down. I'm trying to get the things. I'm as organized as I could possibly be. And you're handing me, you're showing me. Well, does she expect me to go over? I'm handing them, I'm showing them. The court officer can take them and walk them up there. I can't do that. Well, how do you expect me to read that from there? Well, really? Well, how do you expect me to get them to you?
See what is happening here? It's just a weird situation. If I'm preparing some paper to give to the judge, I need to give the cop that goes bring to the judge. You don't just walk over to them, right? But if a judge just says, hey man, do you think I can just read it so far away? When you just respond that way, in such an unprofessional way, do you really think whoever is losing is in a advantage?
Literally just got the file from Carlos. He signed a retainer this morning while we were at court. I did not have a whole bunch of time to review all his moving papers that the wife sent to the court. Obviously, they were defective. I mentioned 2 defects. It didn't matter.
And the fact that the wife is bringing stuff that makes sure that he can't keep working at his own job. He loses his car. And this guy seems to be like an amazing doctor that's been helping kids, autistic kids. And now it's all gone because somebody is so gangster vindictive about the amount of money that she is supposed to receive for the 4 kids. People, do you see how messed up this is? This guy lost everything. He even lost his friends. I don't know what else I can...
Cards were stacked against him. All they keep reading is Dr. Rivera, Dr. Rivera, Dr. Rivera, Dr. Rivera. Dr. Rivera is the doctor who would go to homes of autistic children in the middle of the night to make house calls because these children did not have were terrified to go to doctor. He was a good pediatrician. Not only did he lose his practice, not only did he lose his livelihood, these children lost their doctor, and that's disgraceful. And Miss Cartwright just doesn't want to work with us, which we tried everything. We want to get him back. He's still relatively young. He could still get back. We would love to do that. She won't work with us. I would love all these little children to have their pediatrician. They loved him.
After 3 years of part-time practice with 0 claims, that same policy now costs me just under $55,000 per year. By the time child support and malpractice insurance is subtracted from my gross pay, I am left with $570 every 2 weeks. This calculates to less than minimum wage, and I am a pediatrician with 15 years of private practice experience.
So this guy lives on so little money, right? Having to pay all his stuff in such a unique way. And the only thing I can think is, yeah, you know what? Maybe it's your lifestyle. Maybe after paying everything and then covering your own cost of your malpractice or whatever, Whatever you're doing, that's why you have little money. So you have to live below your means.
Losing the career was stressful, and that's something I could move past. It's the children. Losing two of my children to alienation, having the next two threatened because they reside with their mother. I never thought that anybody be capable of such cruelty. And it saddens me that I thought at some point her family would stop her and say enough is enough. But unfortunately, I walked past one family member who was giving me dirty looks and stares on the way in. And it just saddens me. I think that how much can you do to a person? And the career and money is one thing, but my children are another. And I pray that this ends one day soon because it's really become difficult.
Sometimes the kids is, you know what, I just want to be with Papa. Because Papa is less stressful. Mama received all the stress in the beginning. Maybe Papa worked too much. So even if Mama did a very good job, her new nature is not that positive for the kids. Even with all that money. And they're still vindictive because she gave the best time of her life. Now she is lonely. I don't know what the heck is happening. But sometimes the kids suffer. And the kids suffer whatever decision you make. And the problem is if the kids goes with Papa, that's a lot of the money that has to go from Mama. Call 911 now! So some of these ladies, they're quite vindictive because they just want to hurt the man. So much that they use their own victimhood to make the kids feel blame, turn family members against them, and it is just kind of weird. Because if a kid just leaves mom gets less money. And I've seen some mom who were like, damn, if I don't have the kid because of equality, it's a big problem. So it just benefits them to, you know what, you have to live with me or I won't get any money.
You are the victim. You wanted to be divorced, move on. You were willing to pay plenty of money. You know, your wife had custody, or your ex-wife, you let her have custody, you had your career. Well, you know, they're turning you into the bad guy that you spent 6 months in jail. For people watching this, you've already spent 6 months in prison.
Yeah, it's interesting because I used to have a good relationship with professional colleagues, and everyone keeps a distance, a pretty cold distance from me now. And after this point, I don't hear from anybody at all. No one to say, hey, what happened? So I'm pretty isolated. And, if it wasn't for my children, I probably would relocate. It's been difficult.
What kind of place is this? You can go up and say, look, there's a problem with corruption. They won't let you see them. When the chief judge of the court himself, Judge Randall Hinrichs, is corrupt, everybody under him falls into line and they can do whatever they want. And that's really what the problem is here. That starts at the top. Now we have our district attorney being investigated for corruption, the chief of corruption, McFarland, being investigated for corruption, our chief of police in jail for corruption.
And this is the system that some people are like, you know what, it works well in US. We want to bring this style of way with these 12% earnings because it's money, money, money. Bring that way all the way to Europe where we don't have as much of these weird gangster money-wise things at such a unique level, surprisingly. And a lot of people are like, yeah, I want to vote for that. Bring it over here. I'm like, are you freaking stupid?
Here we are. Well, the elevator's going up. It should be good. It should be going down because that's where hell is.
You don't even understand the culture. You want to add it here? You don't even know the consequences. Especially with all the ladies going to study out earning all the men. In the end, that same system is going to make all the ladies pay. And you're going to be like, yeah, that's unfair. I'm with a guy that out earns me because I want to be taken care of. People, you don't even understand. In Europe, that whole idea that man has to work, woman stay at home, we're so progressive. That doesn't even exist anymore. But you guys seems to be stuck in time while we are going so fast forward. And now people here are like, you know what? Maybe we need to force men more. I'm like, why? You got everything going on for you. And it just surprises me. You still want more. When is it enough? Until none of the ladies are suffering? Do you have any idea how many men suffer in this situation? No wonder none of them want to marry anymore. Because nobody listens to us. Because whenever we suffer, you know what most of these vindictive ladies say that people listen to? You deserve it for all the years of the things that happened in the past. While we're reaching the end of the video, remember to like, share, comment. Let me know what you think about the whole situation. I'm not advising anybody to marry, and once I advise them, I help them filter the lady by certain things that I see that doesn't make any sense. Because you have two types of ladies. You have ladies that can be very disagreeable, but they respect you as a human being. But others don't hesitate to look down at you and enjoy it. And certain ladies that like to look down on men and enjoy it, you can filter them very easy. You just have to remove the ladies from the princess pedestal that men usually put them, and usually you will filter them out. And as men, you need to handle your business correctly. Don't start making 10,000 baby with the same lady you might divorce in the future, and be very freaking careful. Anyway, I'm reaching the end. I'm talking too much in this video, and hope to see you guys next time. Peace.
Don't get me wrong, makosa kita bong. Buta fire na mi blonde, kush hash, purple skunk, criollo, colombici, jam jam, turlo, verde, ta welcome.